Fueled by C4, Cellucor, and Extend. Use the code Clydesdale to get 20% off at checkout at c4energy.com. On Clydesdale Media, where we bring you the widest array of content here on our YouTube channel. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. Hit that notifier so you're the first to know when new episodes are available. What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Clydesdale Media Podcast. My name is Scott Schweitzer. I'm the Clydesdale. We are highlighting the athletes from the 2023 CrossFit Games Semifinals. And with us today is Natalie Talbert. Natalie, how are you?
I'm doing well, thanks. How are you?
I'm good. So I research every guest that we bring on the show, and I love when I find weird, quirky things
Oh
that
no.
you would never expect to find from people. And so one of the things I found is that you are the COO of Sundance Meadows.
Oh, yes, I am.
And it looked like it is a place where you can go glamping.
Yes, it is a place that you can go glamping.
So what got you into the glamping world to the point where you became the chief operating officer of a glamping company?
Yes, this is so funny. I was like kind of thinking it's been a while since I've been on a podcast, and I was like, I wonder what, I don't really know Scott. I wonder what he's going to think about or what he'll ask about. So that's really funny. And Sundance is something that I thought about. So, yes, Sundance it was actually a quarantine project for my family and I. We live on a very large property, and we decided that we wanted to use a portion of the property to bring people on and experience sort of this mountain living that we have. And so we were all home from work and couldn't go anywhere. So we decided to start building. And we just kind of leveled the earth out a little bit, and then felt like a cool thing would be to kind of get into the bell tent, canvas tent sort of vibe. And I guess the rest is really history. It took off, and people really liked the idea and really liked the experience. We had people come pretty quickly after things started opening up again, and it was sort of their first dive back into the world again and seeing other people. So it was really awesome to get to kind of be some of the first faces that they saw, and kind of welcoming them into our space, and then letting them experience the Santa Cruz mountain life. And it's been really awesome. So it's definitely something I spend a lot of my time on. In a good way. It's a good experience, and it's a good opportunity for our family here.
So are you typically an outdoor person?
I would say yes. I
Okay.
preferably love the outdoors when it's sunny and hot. But yes, I'm an outdoor person.
And then, like, I've noticed that even at the games in the campgrounds, they've started kind of like a glamping option
Yeah,
where it's like a full, like, furnished tent. And like, I could never, ever get my wife to go camping,
totally.
but I may be able to get her to go glamping.
Glamping, right. Well, that's the beauty of glamping, right? We don't have like a spa here. It's not, we're not bringing you like breakfast in bed or anything like that. But the glamping aspect is you don't have to bring anything to go camping, right? So, which is the hassle for most people, going out, especially with kids and camping. You've got to bring a tent and all that stuff. And if you're already not an outdoorsy person, that just feels really overwhelming. So, we've got queen beds, like really comfortable beds that are completely made and very pretty, and we got to decorate the insides. There's a generator for power, and there's just like different ways to make coffee, and there's just fun elements that people always say afterwards, that was so nice to be able to come and to spend time, but not have to like clean up a tent afterwards, or yeah, it makes it really easy. And you're sleeping in a bed. You're not sleeping on the ground.
You had me at coffee.
Yeah. Yeah. We're big coffee people as well.
So you live in Santa Cruz.
Yes.
The the origin space of CrossFit.
Yeah.
How long ago? Like, you're kind of OG.
Mm,
You go back to like 2014, I think, 15,
yeah.
15
Yeah.
in the
Yeah. That
open.
sounds about right. Hmm.
Um, so how did like was CrossFit all around you, or did it take you like looking for it to find it?
That's a funny question. So I didn't grow up in the Santa Cruz area. I grew up in the Bay Area for sure, but not, I wasn't in Santa Cruz. So I actually went to San Jose State and then ended up leaving after college, lived abroad for a little while, and then came back. That's when I met my husband, and our families moved to Santa Cruz together. So I technically haven't been here forever. We've only been here for about 5 years now.
Okay.
And we sort of made the leap as a family to move somewhere together. And then so CrossFit was, I did sort of stumble across it. I was done with my competitive water polo career, and I clearly needed something else to be competitive with or to spend my time doing. And so I hopped into CrossFit. And one of the strength and conditioning coaches at San Jose State at the time, he owned a CrossFit gym very close to state. So it ended up being a really natural progression for me to sort of just go from playing water polo to doing CrossFit. I just didn't do it competitively at all right away. I just sort of did classes, and yeah, I wanted to be good and I wanted to be fast, but it wasn't much else for me for a while.
So you mentioned water polo.
Yeah.
Was that your sport like through high school, or did you do other things as well?
That was my sport through high school. So I actually swam. I started swimming, and then swimming is cool. It's just not that cool. So
Hey,
I
hey,
started
hey, hey, hey.
So I started playing water polo and I was like, yeah, I can get behind this. There was a lot more strategy and teamwork, and uh, I got to be aggressive in ways that I had really never been before. And so that it sort of quickly became my main gig. And then played all through high school and then played in college at San Jose State.
So I was a swimmer.
Okay.
Um, okay. And our way of getting in shape, because you weren't allowed to start swimming practice by state rules until a certain date,
Yeah,
but you could play water polo.
it's fun. Yep.
So we played water polo to get in shape to start the swim season.
Yeah.
And frankly, I love the sport. I wish we had like an organized team where I lived growing up,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
we did not. But
Ooh.
my God, that is the most aggressive sport I've ever played. And I played
Yeah.
football, and I played other sports.
And that was it.
Vicious,
Yeah.
vicious.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess I didn't even really realize that when I first started playing. I was pretty young when I first started playing. I played on a club team, and I remember at that age I was playing. I was scrimmaging with it was a co-ed scrimmage, and I was playing with some boys. And I remember, like, I vividly remember the day that I was like, I want to be really good at this sport. And it was because like one of the boys did something not like inappropriate, but he like held me down in a way that I was like, I never want to feel that feeling again. Like it felt very much like he asserted his strength over me, and he held me down in a way that I was like, oh my gosh, like I can't believe that happened to me. But then I attribute my like career in water polo to that one single human, because after that day I was like, I don't want that to happen to me again, and so I'm going to be really strong. And I was young, but it definitely changed the trajectory for me. And yes, it is a very intense sport.
So when women, so I've only played against other men.
Yes.
Are women as aggressive as the men are, or
I
more?
I think some people might say that women are more aggressive than men in water polo. Um, I guess I don't really know, but I would say that watching a women's game ends up being a little bit more aggressive than a men's game. It's very different, right? You know, females have a lot of swimsuit to grab onto, and it's just a different kind of play. Whereas I've played in co-ed leagues. I actually played in a co-ed league up until COVID happened. And then the only reason I stopped playing was because quarantine and we couldn't play anymore. But I remember playing with males, and still to this day, it's different, right? Because I can't grab onto anything. It's just body. And so I remember like girls were I mean, I ripped swimsuits all the time, meaning like other people ripped my swimsuits. I mean, I'm sure I probably ripped a couple swimsuits in my life as well. But yeah, I think they're both aggressive, but I think females might be a little bit more intense.
Yeah, we wore multiple swimsuits
Yeah, yeah,
because it got that aggressive. But
yeah.
there are technically rules that
Mhm.
prohibit that aggressiveness, but somehow it's let go.
Yeah.
And every time I've ever played it.
Yeah. Well, it's there. I refed water polo for a little while as well. And also recognizing that there's a lot of things that go on underneath the water. And, some coaches are huge proponents of, well, if it's underneath the water, what does it matter? And so it's a slippery slope for sure. And I think that just the nature of things being underwater and not always seen, that a lot gets passed and you wouldn't even really know it unless you're playing it.
Yeah. My biggest difficulty was I was a distance swimmer, which didn't
Hmm.
translate well to water polo. Like
Mm,
I had the endurance to kind of like swim for a long time, but sprinting for the ball, like
totally.
I just didn't have that quick twitch
Yeah.
to get there super fast.
Yeah.
But I swim all the way into college,
Wow.
and so I attribute some of that to water polo to getting me there.
Yeah. Yeah. I
So
was a decent swimmer, but I think it just got a little monotonous for me.
yeah, try swimming the 1,01650 in college.
Ooh. Yeah. See, that
That's
just doesn't sound
nothing but
desirable.
monotony.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I retired my freshman year because it was just too
A lot.
monotonous.
Totally. Totally. I could see that.
Yeah. So then another funny thing I found out about you was that
Oh
you
no.
competed in the Titan Games,
Oh yes.
which a
Hot topic.
lot of a lot of CrossFit athletes did, but they
Yeah.
weren't allowed to say they were a
Yeah.
CrossFit athlete.
Yeah. I think there were some branding issues. Quite honestly, I don't remember all of it, but I remember that we couldn't say the word CrossFit. And if we did, I think it got cut out in editing. But yeah, we weren't allowed to drop the CrossFit name.
So what makes someone say, "Hey, I want to try this"?
Well, so here's the deal. I think that there was some aspect of like, hey, I want to try this, but there was also some aspect of I think they did a lot of recruiting for the show as well. So like I noticed like some traction on my Instagram page and people kind of following. And so like yeah, there's some aspect of like I think a lot of the people for the show were asked to be on the show or were asked to go through the process of potentially being on the show. Um I did watch the Titan games. I think we don't have a TV up at our house, but down at my in-laws' house, they had been watching the show, and my father-in-law was like, "You would be really good at this show." And I was like, "Yeah, okay." It seemed more strength biased, and so it kind of made a little bit more sense. And then he ended up submitting like an application online. Like I kid you not, I did not do it. And he submitted an application and I ended up getting a call from a studio and it just sort of became this like you talk to the next person, you talk to the next person, and you talk to the next person, and then they had like a mini combine that you go and do, and then they ended up casting the show. So it was a pretty cool experience. I got to meet some really cool people on that show.
So we've actually talked to a lot of the contestants over the years,
Yeah.
who just happen to be CrossFit athletes.
Yeah.
Um, Courtney Rozelle, Kelly
Yeah.
Stone, Margot, of course, Matt Chan.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and so they all kind of say the same thing, that when they got there, they realized it really wasn't a competition. It was a TV show.
Totally. Which was, like, a lot to wrap my mind around.
Right. That's got to be hard for people who are ultra competitive, like a CrossFit
Yeah.
athlete.
Totally. I think that we all sort of dealt with that a little bit because it was like, I don't know, it wasn't really conducive for performance, right? Like I had to wear so much makeup and was doing so much filming, and it didn't necessarily seem so much about like the events. It seemed more about like the people, which is fine. But yes, I can totally agree with those sentiments. It was less of a competition. I mean, if it was a competition, there would be so many pieces that would have been controlled, and they weren't. There were aspects of it that it was like, what? That's not fair. Or, pieces that it was like, that doesn't make sense. But I think we all still treated it competitively at the time, right? Because you want to do well in some of those things. But I remember talking to my coach at the time afterwards, and I was like, yeah, this happened and this happened and this happened, and I was like frustrated about it, and I was like, and afterwards he was like, but how many of those things like can you control for, or are you know it's just what pieces of that actually made sense? And in my mind I was like, right, none of them. Like it wasn't fair. Yes, there were pieces of it that were probably fair, but you can't, if things glitch or break or change, or something doesn't happen right, it's not like they're going to fix it. It's how it is, and it's on TV, and if you look good doing it, well, then that's awesome. So that's really what it came down to. And so when I realized that it really didn't have any precedence over my athletic abilities, I was like, yeah, that was a cool experience. And really what I took away from it was I still have friendships from that show. I still have people that I'm close with. We still have a text thread that, I mean, it's 2023, and we still have a text thread from, what was it, 2019? It was right before COVID happened. I think the show aired, or the show aired in quarantine. I don't know, something like that. So the
Yeah.
fact that we still have an active text thread going is kind of cool. And then being able to see some people at CrossFit events and things like that has been really fun.
Yeah. Everybody we talked to has said the same thing. The friendships they made, because you guys were like stuck in rooms for hours upon hours upon hours,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
And so it was either you get along or it was just going to be a miserable day.
Totally. 100%. And I think that most of us recognize that, and it just became like a fun experience, to learn about each other, and to, we played games, we learned dances, different things like that. And just being able to spend time with each other. I think you could tell who was having a good experience and who wasn't. And the people that were having a good experience were those that were kind of engaging with other people, and learning things about other people, and growing relationships.
So one funny story is when I had Kelly Stone on, and she's been on like 3 times. The first
Yeah.
time,
Yeah.
before I even knew of the Titan Games,
Yeah.
I stumbled across her audition tape
Oh, yes.
somehow on the internet. Like, I don't even know how I got to it.
Yeah.
And it had her belly flopping. And so I
Isn't it
brought that up
amazing?
and she freaked out because she thought like she may break the NDA because I found this tape
Oh,
and
shoot.
the show hadn't even like
Aired
aired
yet.
yet.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I remember that, her belly flopping, side of the story.
yeah, yeah. And then the thing that blew me away was when Matt Chan told me he didn't even get to keep the trophy.
Isn't that funny? Yeah.
Like all this production, NBC, all the money behind it, and you can't let them keep the trophy?
Oh my gosh, we felt that way too. We were like, can we keep a shirt? Could we keep a water bottle? Like, could we keep something? I think like at the combine, we got like a hat and like a towel. I was like, a shirt would be great. Like wearing my jersey would be cool, or like being able to keep my jersey would be awesome. But they were just so anti that. It was funny. But
Yeah,
yes,
that makes no sense because you'd only be promoting the show, right? Like
right.
why?
I know. Every time I wear my Titan Games hat, everybody's like, "Is that a Tesla hat?" I'm like, no, it's a Titan Games hat. So,
Yeah.
but yes,
So all through this, you are a mom of three?
two.
Two.
Yeah.
Okay. I
I
have
mean,
three names.
I have a four-legged baby, who is my dog.
Is that
But
one of the
yeah.
ones listed on Instagram? I have
Oh,
Sam, Azariah, and Judah.
Samuel is my husband. I feel like his mom sometimes.
Well, I'm sure my wife says that about me.
No, I'm just kidding. Kind of kidding. But no, I just have 2 kids.
Okay, so Sam is husband,
Yes.
and Azariah and Judah are your children.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you're this super fit woman who becomes a mom,
Hmm.
and how does that change your life training wise? I'm sure in a huge way.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's interesting because I didn't start getting competitive at CrossFit until I had already had Azariah. Like I said, I sort of just hopped into CrossFit and it was something that I did for fun and I did it with classes and um, it was cool to stay in shape and to be healthy and all of those things. And then Sam and I got married, and 2 months into being married, I got pregnant. And so we had Azariah and I was still CrossFitting. I CrossFitted through my pregnancy. I mean, not super intense, right? Because my relative fitness before that wasn't super high. I mean, I was fit from training, for collegiate water polo, but really I was an athlete, but I wasn't training at a super high intensity at all. And then when I had Azariah, for some reason, I decided I was like, yeah, I want to do CrossFit and I want to do it competitively. I mean, it was probably like a year, maybe 6 months after that. And so the whole time I've been training for CrossFit, like to be competitive, I've been a mom. So that's not necessarily something that is like all of a sudden it's so new to me that I'm a mom and an athlete. Um, so I've always had Azariah in that journey. So it definitely is. Um, it's been a cool experience, and I trained team before, so I was on a team at just my local gym, and we went to regionals when it was still regionals. And then after that, it's when the format changed to sanctionals, and I made a team with some people in Santa Cruz. Well, 3 of us were in Santa Cruz, one of us was in Gilroy, and we created a team then, and we did the sanctionals thing, and that was probably my most competitive and or my fittest period of time. And then kind of stepped away from the team realm, did the Titan Games thing, and then we decided that we wanted to have another baby. So I ended up getting pregnant with Judah and then having Judah, and then sort of made the leap to start training again, but it was never with the intention to go anywhere. It wasn't like I want to go to the CrossFit Games. It was I want to get fit every day, and whatever that means for my life, then that's what it means for my life. And the first year after having Judah was a little bit slow. I found myself kind of trying to get back into it a little bit too soon, and I had a couple back injuries. Nothing crazy, just a little slap that was like, "Hey, you need to slow down a little bit." But was really invested in my local gym and doing class workouts and all of that. And then um, as I started getting strength under my belt and feeling ready to start jumping into a competitive program, I did that. And then, you know, really, I just did fitness when I had time for fitness and prioritized my family in the right way. And then it ended up being a smooth transition into competing in the open and then quarterfinals and then semifinals, which I'm going to be so honest with you, I never anticipated that happening. So
Surprise.
yeah, big surprise. So it's been cool. It's funny because you'd mentioned earlier my training partner Kelly, and we train with each other as much as we can, right? I've got a crazy schedule, she's got a crazy schedule. But she was always, we bounce back programming stuff and, check in on each other. And I really did a lot of cherry picking. I hate to admit this, but I don't like to ski a ton. And it's not that I don't like skiing, it's just that I don't know. I just was like, when am I gonna ski? Like I'm not gonna ski. There's not a ski erg in the open. There's not a ski erg in quarterfinals. And Kelly was always like, Nat, like there's a ski erg in semifinals. And I was like, okay. And then I remember like not even really wanting to film my open workouts. And she was like, what are you doing? And I was like, all right. And so I, got back into the filming thing and, really kind of sent it in quarterfinals and just was like completely blown away. But in my mind, I'm like, gosh, good thing Kel told me to video my workouts because I might not have done that otherwise.
So
So,
you talk about the filming.
yeah,
I've embedded myself with a couple at masters athletes during the
yeah,
season this year to do
yeah.
little documentaries.
Hmm.
My goodness, the filming part of a workout
Oh my
is
gosh.
more stressful than the workout itself.
It really is. And I think that's why I was like, I don't even want to fuss with it because I feel like it's not like this, but I just feel like such a diva when I'm doing my workouts and it has to be like, "Hey, could everybody quiet down so I can do my intro?" And it just I feel like such a gah. I'm like, I'm so high maintenance. I'm so sorry. I'll hurry, and it like never gets any better too. I'm always like, "Hi, Natalie." And my name on the leaderboard is my maiden name. So I'm always like, Natalie Tao Jennings. And then I'm like, "What workout are we doing? What region am I in?" Like, it just never gets any better, and it's so nerve-wracking. And then watching the video afterwards and like, "Can they see that? Did I get this in there?" And it's just like I mean, I was really good this year with quarterfinals. I feel like I didn't because I didn't have this like weird pressure on myself. I didn't obsess over my videos, which I have the potential to do. I really like to make sure that things are above reproach and, that I wouldn't get called on anything and I've met all the standards. Like that's really important to me. But this year I was really proud of myself for like, okay, I videoed it, I did it, it's done. If CrossFit asks for it, they can have it, and I think that that was a really healthy place for me to be this year. But yes, it is so much. And on team, it was so funny too, because it was just like we were all like, "Hey, we're a team and we're doing workouts." It's just really funny.
Did you get any penalties this year?
I did. I got one
Okay.
penalty. And what was it on? I got one no rep on the V up GHD workout. And it was super legit. Like, I was like, "Oh my gosh," when I got the penalty, I was like, How could they penalize me?" Like, I made sure my standards were on point, like, I mean, and I got all huffy, and then I was like, "All right, Natalie, chill out, watch your video, see what they're talking about." I ended up doing only 24 V-ups in 1 round and not 25. So I was like, "That's legit."
Holy cow. Yeah,
It
I've
was
never
funny. It
wow.
was funny.
I
So
just thought it'd be funny if like you didn't stress out and then all of a sudden you don't get any penalties.
Yeah, totally. Well, I mean, strangely enough, I know this feels weird. I didn't have an intention to not do a rep, you know? It was the last set, and I was very much like just listening to my judge at that point. And like I would really like to tell you that I'm totally in control all the time and I can just completely manage those things really well. But for some reason, I was like completely out of control of myself, just like going through the motions, and I was just listening to my judge. So it actually felt better to get that no rep than like not meeting a standard. Cause I was like, well, yeah, I meant to do that rep and I would have done it well if I knew that I had to do it. So it was pretty funny.
So I love this post. This was immediately after quarterfinals. This is, I think, your
Yeah.
last event.
Yeah.
And you talk about the emotions of
Hmm.
completing quarterfinals.
Hmm.
And I just want to share it with the audience.
Oh
Um,
gosh. Yeah. I think I'm in like actual tears at that very moment.
and
Oh.
so you say in the post, you talk about that you're less than 2 years away from giving birth.
Yeah.
And here you are in quarterfinals, and I think it looks like from your post that you surprised yourself.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I think that I know that strength is my weakness. My I am like my max lifts are just not at the same level that everybody else's are. And I don't really know how else to say that. I'm not like putting myself down. I just like that's a thing for me. And so, and I'm not Tia, I'm my base of fitness was only so high before I gave birth, so I wasn't like, yeah. So it just being able to go into the heavy workout of quarterfinals and to just it was like my damage control workout for quarterfinals where I was like, all right, and I remember I didn't do that workout with Kelly because I was like, you need somebody to push you on this workout because I'm very much invested in her journey as well. I'm all for her making it to games this year. And like, that's where a lot of my heart is in this experience. And so I was like, you got to do this with somebody who's going to push you. Like, I don't know that that's going to be me. And she was like, all right. And she did it with somebody else. And like looking back on it, like we could have done it together. I mean, yeah, she would have crushed me, but like I didn't. It's not even that I did it, it's that I finished the workout and just I felt so strong the whole time. I didn't feel like I didn't have to hesitate. I didn't feel like things were gonna murder me. And it just was like such a gratifying experience because I had built that workout up in my mind to be like, okay, Natalie, like you're just gonna have to do the best that you can with what you have, because that's all you have right now, and that's okay. And so I was in a good headspace, but there was also a lot of emotion behind it. Like, this is the heavy workout, and you usually have to grind super hard for the heavy workouts. And it just was like, it wasn't like that. It just was all of my effort and hard work just like came to fruition in that moment. And like that barbell just felt so good. And I was like, oh, and so I think like after that last rep, I mean, I was holding back tears like on the last round because I was like, I'm doing this. Like, I feel so like nothing hurts. Like I feel like I'm getting somewhere. And so like finishing that workout and I think it was just all the pressure was like gone. I was like, I don't even care how the rest of the field did in this workout because I finished it and that's so cool. And I just felt really, really stoked about it. So those tears were like all happy tears. They were all just like completely surprised myself. I did not anticipate, doing it the way that I did it and just like approaching every rep, every clean and jerk rep with just like, just feeling out each barbell. I was like, this is so sick. So it was just like one of those reminders, like you love this stuff because you get to surprise yourself and your hard work, like you will see the progress. You'll see the fruit of your labor. So it was cool.
So the en vogue thing lately is mom strength, right?
Yeah.
You have all these CrossFit athletes
Mm,
who are giving birth and coming back stronger than they were before.
yeah.
Ariel Lowen tried to make the CrossFit Games for 10 years
Yeah.
and then gives birth, comes back out of retirement and accidentally makes the games.
Yeah.
You know, Annie hits that snatch at the
Yeah.
games a
So
year
yes.
after birth,
As I'm in
right? Like,
tears watching, yes.
right. And so
Yeah.
what I want to ask you is that a real thing?
I think that I mean, my short answer is yeah, I do. I think it's a thing. But I think like the longer winded answer is being a mom. Well, one, there's so many things leading up to being a mom, right? You get pregnant and all of the changes and experiences that your body goes through after that. I mean, it's insane, right? It's like growing something out of nothing and that your body gets to be the vessel for that and the experiences and maybe even the fear around that and having to kind of overcome those mental barriers or hurdles all the time too. I think that makes you stronger, right? Um, and then giving birth, right? Like that's a very special experience. And it'll teach you a lot about yourself and just the preparation for it, the mindset training for it, the physical training for it, and then completing it. I mean, it was a high like I've never experienced before, and I even think about that now. Like we do want to have another baby, and I think about that now. And while there's a lot wrapped up in it, and it feels like a really big undertaking, like the overarching emotion in it is like it's so badass. And it's so just like empowering. And so I think there is an aspect of that that gets transferred over to sport. Like I can do anything, right? Like my body can do anything because it did this one thing. And I remember my midwives asking me after I gave birth to Azariah because they knew I was, did CrossFit and, worked out hard and was an athlete. And I remember them asking me, like, how does this compare to CrossFit and to like working out and your athletic experiences? And I was like, this was so much harder than that. And like so much more like I just had to call on different parts of myself that I would have never called on before. And so it probably did awaken some different areas of my being, which I think is really awesome. And then postpartum and kind of the rebuild period, if you take it seriously, it can do a lot for your body. And kind of being intentional about that, I think it can set a really strong foundation for your future. And then just the priorities, right? It shifts my priorities. And I'm a true believer in when things get really turned inward and I become very focused on myself and my progress and what I'm doing, I don't do as well. I've always been a team athlete for that reason. It fires me up to be on a team. And so I think, I mean, I'll be the first one to tell you, my kids and my family will always trump CrossFit. They will always come before CrossFit. And so I think it's good. I think it's healthy that I'm not me centered. Like, yes, I've had a lot of battles training for semifinals that I felt like I haven't given my family and my kids everything that they need because I've been investing so much in training. And that's probably something that I battle the most on the daily is like, am I giving my kids everything they need from me? And am I still a bit readily available for them when they need me? But I can tell you, while I've been training for semifinals, my kids have gotten sick. And let me tell you what suffers my training. And that is what it is. If my baby is up in the night with a fever, well, training's going to be different tomorrow because this is my priority and this is what he needs. So I think that is a big contributing factor to success for a lot of athletes in the CrossFit realm or a lot of women in the CrossFit realm after they give birth is we are not so focused on ourselves anymore. It's that that outward focus and that shift and just the joys and gratitude of that. Like, I just feel so grateful and so blessed to have these gifts that I've been given. And so I want to steward them well. And I want to demonstrate to them what being a strong mom looks like and that investing in my health is important. And I think that they get to see that real time. So I mean, I've got stuff in my garage at my house and the kids work out with me all the time. So Judah's talking and he asks me to work out all the time. And, he wants to sit on the rower and pull the rower handle and, all of that. So it's given me, I think it makes it less about me, which I think is very helpful for me as an athlete is when it gets focused inward and I'm worried about my performance and all of those things, I don't perform well. But when I'm focused on the things that are important to me outside of myself, I I tend to perform better.
I think that the last couple years have been the most incredible testament to what CrossFit can do in people's lives
Yeah.
and show how strong a mother can be.
Hmm. Totally.
And all the stuff you said, I could never say as eloquently as you did. But one thing that I do know when we had our daughter, like just everyday life, you are lugging and tugging stuff like you're training without knowing you're training.
Oh, yeah.
You're carrying, you're bouncing, you're quarter squatting.
Yeah.
Those diaper bags are massive.
Yeah, that's funny. I had that thought the other day. We live up the road from my in-laws and grandparents, and there's a little bit of an incline to get down or to get up to our house from their house. And I'm, constantly carrying Judah, our 2-year-old, up and down. And I thought about that. I was like, because I had my arm like wrapped around him and then I was grabbing onto the other arm. I was like, sandbag workout. Like, let's go.
So when
So
you saw that
yeah.
announced, you were like, there it is.
Love that workout. My 2-year-old, to be clear, does not weigh 150 pounds. But
Yeah, that would
I
be odd.
love that workout. Yeah.
Yeah. So we brought that up. We know all the workouts now.
Yeah.
Most of these interviews I've done with the semifinalists, we had
You
no
haven't
clue.
known. Yeah.
Yeah, so all the workouts.
Uh-huh.
Are you excited for
Yeah.
what's to come?
Yes, I think that I've gone through the gamut of emotion, right? Because now you know exactly what you're going to thrive doing, and you know exactly what is going to be a little bit harder or a little bit more challenging for you. So I feel like they kind of trickled out, right? So it would have been really cool if they all came at once. So you could be like, oh, I'm gonna crush that one and crush that one, and so you can kind of feel really positive about it. But I feel like they kind of trickled out, so it's like, oh gosh, like I don't know, I can't see them all, so I don't know if I'm gonna be. And now, like, looking back on that, it's just now you don't have to question anything, right? You know exactly what's going to happen. And I feel more excited now than I was as they were sort of like we were about at that week mark out, where it's like, I don't know, like what could it be? And now it's like, I know exactly what it is. And for me and my mindset, it's helpful for me to know, because then I can sort of adjust my expectations and start to really hone in on some of the visualization things that I really appreciate doing before competition. And now I know exactly what I'm looking at and what I'm going to be faced with. So I think I'm more excited than ever to kind of get my hands on them and start trying them out and doing them. I'm not of the variety. I don't think I'm going to like run through every workout in its entirety. But there will be some that I'm excited to kind of do from start to finish, and then, see how I do in competition. But I think they're pretty cool.
So you've mentioned that you're better when you're not inward focused. You have a
Mhm.
training partner who's going to be at semifinals with you.
Yeah.
And so how much when you're looking at workouts are you going, "Ooh, that's good for me. Ooh, but that's really good for Kelly." And then do you do that when you go through, or is it just
All the time. Yeah, but I'm not doing it in the sense that like, "Oh, Kel's gonna crush me on that workout." Like, that's not it at all.
right, right.
Yeah, it's very much like, and she could probably attest to this, I probably have told her already, like, "You're gonna crush that workout." And it's funny because a lot of the workouts that Kelly crushes, I'm not as good at. So, it just, like, naturally works that way, and maybe that's a positive thing for me, right? Because instead of me focusing on, "Oh gosh, that's not a strength for me," I can focus more on, "Wow, Kel's absolutely going to annihilate that workout." And yeah, I love that. So, yes, there are workouts that I've identified for her that I know that she's just gonna crush, which is really fun for me.
Yeah, it's funny because we've gotten to know some people over the years, and Kelly we interviewed before the Mac last year.
Yeah.
I was at the Mac when it all went down.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
devastated on that Sunday.
Yeah.
Um, and I did the math wrong in my head. I thought she was in, and then yeah.
Didn't we all?
And so like I am rooting for her so hard this year that
Yeah.
I think it's the biggest story in CrossFit if she makes it.
Yeah.
The journey she's been on from 2012 to today
Yeah.
is amazing.
Right.
And yeah.
It's super
So
cool, and because I was on a team with her too, we have the team vibe as well. So, I was on her she was on my regionals team in 2018, and then we did the sanctionals thing together. And so we've got a unique like team relationship as well with all of this. So, I did get pregnant and have a baby in the realm of some of that stuff, but I was also with baby and there to cheer on her quarterfinals workouts and all of that stuff. So um yeah, I'm very invested as well.
so you're going to be in the warm-up area in the athlete area together.
Yeah.
I'm assuming hanging out. Do you think that's good for both of you that you have each other to kind of like, and do you like to be loose or do you like to like zone in on what you need to do for the workout?
I think Kel and I are a little different in that regard. We definitely got to see that real time during the open and quarterfinals. I am very much a more relaxed competitor. Um, I don't know why that is. I really like to like if there are people around whom I feel like I could benefit from knowing or learning from, like nothing that I'm doing is more important than that. And so, like take the Titan Games thing, for instance. Like, yeah, there was winning on the line, but I'm not going to be so zoned in on winning that I couldn't, meet people like Kelly Stone and Margot Alvarez and Matt Chan, like I'm not going to not learn from them. And then so you look at our region, we got Ariel Lowen and Christine Kohlenbrander and like people that I think are amazing, And so I'm just like so thrilled to be there and to be just like soaking up every opportunity and every experience that I'm like just very excited to have fun and just like demonstrate or show all the hard work that I've put in. Whereas Kel gets very zoned in. She knows this. She's got her headphones on. She has her routine. She's got a hell of a game face, and she's very, zoned. And we're very different in that regard. So I remember at quarterfinals, Kelly would have her headphones in. She'd be ready, zoned in. People would come by the gym. They'd say hi to her, and I'd be like, "Hi" for Kelly, because she's very focused. So I think it'll be great to have the two of us there, but we definitely have different ways of approaching competition like that. Um, but I think that there's aspects that will be beneficial during the time. Like we're staying together, we'll be in close contact during that week. And I think we bring um like during this training season, it's like one of us has always been in a good place. So like maybe I'm not feeling too hot one day, or things are getting pretty heavy one day, like emotionally training for semifinals, and Kel's like, really just pulling us through it. Like she's got it, she's dialed. And then some days I'm bringing the light air to the room, like I'm feeling good. So I think that'll be good for semifinals too, being able to have a friend who you trust and who know's got your back and who's cheering for you and knows all that you've experienced leading up to it. So I think it'll be good in a lot of different ways. But yes, we definitely approach those things very different. Like she's got like her game face ready, and I'm just like, yeah, this is really cool. Like this is a really cool experience, and I'm looking to just soak up every aspect of it. Yes, I'm competitive. Yes, I'm going to kill myself in these workouts. Yes, I'm going to give it all I have, but we just have a very different approach to those things.
Yeah, it's funny you bring up Ariel because we become friends with her over the years.
Yeah.
She may have been on this show more than anybody else.
Nice.
And she talks about how there are two groups of people in the warm-up area.
Yeah.
There are the Kellys and there are the U's.
Yeah.
Right. There's the group that are talking and laughing and joking and and that's Ariel, right? She wants to just talk to everybody because she found in the year she took everything too seriously, it never worked out for her.
Right. Yeah.
So she learned that she needs to be loose and talking because the stress is just too much for her.
Totally.
So to kind of keep her mind off all of that before she goes on the floor is the best case scenario for her.
Totally. I think I fall in that realm as well. I'm very much a people person, and being able to experience things with other people and feed off of other people's energy is helpful for me. And again, just like I said, I look up to these women and have watched their journeys. Like, shoot, I've bought these other girls semifinals jerseys because I have supported their journey for so long, and I'm just in it to soak it up and experience it and to learn from them. I think that's just going to be so amazing. So, yeah, being able to spend time just growing through the experience too. I just don't want to shut myself off to that. I know that that works for a lot of people. It just doesn't work for me. I guess very similar to Ariel.
Yeah. And you've done something amazing. There's only 300 women that get to compete in semifinals. You're one of them.
So rad. Yeah.
And soak it in, right? You've accomplished something great. Jody Lynn has a question, and it is, how far will you travel to semifinal competition? It's not far, is it?
Now, well, I mean, it depends on who you ask. But I'm driving, so it's like a 5.5 hour drive.
Okay.
So it's not too bad.
My last question for you is, Kelly has started a YouTube channel.
Yes.
You are one of the co-stars in those videos.
Yeah.
Does that change your training dynamic, or does it keep it loose for you in a way that you need it?
Yeah, it doesn't change my training dynamic at all. I'm not very like I'm probably the comedic relief in part of those videos, because I try not to take myself too seriously. Like I said, this is not CrossFit's like not first nature to me. I'm a swimmer for heaven's sakes. Like our weight coach like used to not let us do certain things because he recognized our capacity to get hurt on land. You know, like I'm not a gymnast. Like I am not this is not first nature to me. So a lot of these things like I'm learning on the fly. And um I think that I bring a softer nature to some of those things or like a funny air to some of those things. And I think that it probably shows a little bit on the YouTube channel. Believe me, I take things seriously and I'm working my tail off, but I think that I probably bring a lighter vibe to the mix, you know, falling on my face and all of that stuff on the handstand ramp. So, yeah, it's it doesn't stress me out at all. It's actually really fun. And it's kind of fun to reflect on some of our training. You know, that kind of a thing. Like, yeah, YouTube videos or YouTube channels are so popular now and vlogging is so popular. But like I look at that and I'm like, I can show that to my kids one day and be like, this is what I did. You know, like these are the things that I did. And I think Azariah will just get such a kick out of that, and seeing those things. So I really like it. I think
Yeah.
it's fun. And not to
Well,
mention her husband is the one filming, and I kind of like that guy. So
yeah, I like Lance too. So two things. I suffered 2 concussions, both while swimming.
Oh,
Yeah.
backstroke finish?
Nope, not in the water, on the
Oh,
deck.
oh, okay.
Yeah. I was doing stretch cords to
Oh,
loosen up, and
yeah.
it snapped and pulled me, and I did like a break dance into the starting block head
Oh
first.
my gosh.
And then I just tried to jump up and touch like a clock or ceiling thing one time, came down on wet. Came down on wet and back my head hit the thing. So yeah, I'll finish
Wow.
that story. Oh, there you are. You went dark on us for a minute.
I went dark. I had my phone ring.
Okay. Yeah,
I
I
didn't do the do
landed
not
on a
disturb
wet
thing.
spot on the deck, and
Yeah.
my feet came out from under me, hit the back of my head on the deck.
Oh gosh.
Yeah,
That
all
doesn't sound
stupid.
fun.
Like both stupid. Yeah.
Yeah,
Just not
swimmers,
being
man.
yeah.
They're not the best on
Yeah, just
land.
dumb stuff. No,
Yeah.
no, no. So and then the last thing I was gonna say,
Yeah.
and I lost it. I lost it when you
Oh
went dark.
no. Oh man. Well,
Um,
I'm sure it was
it was
amazing.
about the video. It was about the video shoot.
About the vlog.
Yeah. Oh well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that is cool that you have documentation to show your kids the cool stuff that you do.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that's amazing, and it'll be an inspiration to them someday that, hey, my mom's pretty cool.
Yeah, I can only hope.
Well, man, this hour went by so freaking fast.
Yeah,
I can't believe it. I want to thank you so much for jumping on with me.
totally.
It was such a delight getting to know you, and I'll be in Pasadena, my first time in
You.
California.
Oh,
So
wow. That's awesome.
yeah, so heading out there that week and covering the event. So I'm sure I'll get to
Cool.
see you
Yeah.
as you're competing.
I'll be there with the whole kit and caboodle.
Awesome. Well,
Okay.
thank you so much, Natalie. And
Yeah.
everybody in the chat, thank you for joining us. We'll see everybody next time on the Clydesdale Media Podcast.
All right. Thanks, Scott.